Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the That's Awesome podcast, episode 6. We have a very, very special guest today. Dr. Ellen McKinney is here with us, and she's going to be talking about a little bit about herself and her views on education and teaching. Dr. McKinney, thank you for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So Dr. Ellen McKinney currently serves as an associate professor in apparel, merchandising, and design within the Department of Apparel, Events, and Hospitality Management. She serves as the co-chair of our apparel, merchandising, and design program and is also the associate chair for undergraduate academic affairs at ISU. She received her Bachelor of Science in Fashion Design from Texas Christian University, her Master of Science in Fashion Design from Texas Women's University, and her Doctor of Philosophy in Fashion Design from the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. Dr. McKinney has held a number of positions both in academia and consultation fields, including past experience with Tarrant Country College, Texas Christian University, the Art Institute of Dallas, the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, South University, Fashion Group International, and a variety of apparel companies as a consultant. Dr. McKinney has extensive research and specialties in pattern making, draping, apparel construction, clothing and society, fashion, image, and visual communications, merchandising principles, principles of fashionable apparel, production processes, specialty design, textiles, the fashion industry, and trends and concepts in apparel-related fields. Once again, Dr. McKinney, thank you for taking time out of your day during this busy winter break to share with us a little bit about yourself.
You bet.
So that being said, tell us a little bit about yourself. You have extensive background in academia, and from what it looks like, you've always been invested in teaching and, providing your own types of insights. So what sparked that passion in you to pursue teaching?
So when I was getting my bachelor's degree, I really admired my professors and, how they brought knowledge of the fashion industry to me and helped me realize my career path. And I think I was just really inspired by my professors, because that's the first time I really even thought about going into a higher education career.
Sure. And you've also held a number of, mainstream or important positions or roles in fields apart from academia. So has that in any way led you to where you are today, or, made your experience as an academic teacher more whole, more fulfilling?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things I'm passionate about are things that I have seen as issues within the fashion industry. One of my real interest areas is how clothing fits, how we make patterns, how we make different sizes to fit people. And, I've just seen different companies, I've sat into their fit sessions, and this is a real challenging area to make clothes that provide good fit for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I did a little research on, your interests and stuff like that, mainly through Iowa State University created content. But I remember in your CHS profile that one of your interests is creating clothing for the human design or human use. And you bring up an example of, wearable design. How do you think that's changing as, we're currently in a pandemic? Do you think we're excelling in trying to utilize that technology to maybe enhance, safety or something like that in clothing? You also created the mask for Iowa State University, correct?
Yeah, I worked on a committee with Dr. Sanders and some other individuals at the university to help advise the university on the specifications for the masks that would be made for the students. And it was a great opportunity to use my areas of expertise. And it is really wonderful to see people around campus wearing this thing. And I know that we made good choices about the fabric, that it's durable, that it protects people, that it's a design that's going to fit a lot of people well. So yeah, I mean, I guess I never anticipated using my expertise in that way, but that's exactly designed for the human user. It's a textile, and it should protect, but it also needs to be comfortable and washable and easy to use and reuse and all those things that the student human needs.
Yeah. And it's something that a lot of people may think it's simplistic in design, but I think under the surface it's a lot more than just a mask. It's something that protects people, and it's something that's incredibly important, especially in addressing the pandemic and stuff like that. So I think your interests in that human use is very interesting, and I did that in any way motivate you to pursue an interest and position at Iowa State University at all? Or so how did your department, how did getting involved with Iowa State University and specifically the AESHM department come to life?
Well, so even back to when I was an undergraduate, I've known about Iowa State University because in the apparel area, the department has a long history of being a leader. Many of the textbooks that I used in my undergraduate degree, and like everybody uses, came from faculty at Iowa State University. So, even back then, I was aware of Iowa State's apparel department, and I've always kind of viewed them as a leader in apparel education. So when this position became available, how many years ago was that? I was really ready to apply for that. And I think another appealing thing about Iowa State University is it is a research institution. So there's opportunity to teach and to do research to make better products and make people's lives better. So it's a nice balance of those two different aspects.
Sure. And as touched on in the beginning, you're currently an associate professor within the AMD program, correct? How did you become interested in teaching this subject? Has apparel been an important area for you, growing up? Did it specifically point out to you in your college years? How did you get interested in that?
Yeah, so I have literally been sewing since I was 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I come from a long line of sewers. My grandmother sewed, my mother sewed. I was making all the clothes for my dolls, making the fashion drawings, all my life. So it's always been a passion area for me. I'm not sure when it wasn't. I think, as I moved into my bachelor's degree and on into my other degrees, that's when I really started to understand the importance of clothing to people's lives. Like with my bachelor's degree, I did an undergraduate research project about older women and how the fashion industry kind of ignored them, and looked at what kind of clothes they were interested in. So, I think that's kind of where I started down this path of design for the human user.
Definitely. I'll be quite honest. I don't know how to sew. I've had the opportunity because I know my mom knows how to sew, and then she was taught by my grandparents, her mother, how to sew and stuff like that. So it's always there. It's always been there for me. I just never really got into it, and I kind of see it as like it seems hard, but I guess you express it so easily that like it makes anybody want to do it.
I think it just depends on what kind of thing is your jam. There is a certain like 3-dimensional element. So if you think in 3D, it's kind of easier. So everybody has different kinds of aptitudes, I guess is the word, but yeah, you should give it a try.
Yeah, I used to, I remember in middle school, I used to do, I don't know if it's different, but I guess it's like textile related. I used to make those, what are those blankets called? They were just tied blankets. We would just make blankets and then give them away or donate them to charity. That's probably the heaviest I've gone into, apparel related things, but that's very interesting. What classes do you currently teach within the department?
Yes. Well, I teach, I have taught pattern making right now. I supervise graduate students in teaching that, pattern making and draping both.
Mm-hmm.
I have a graduate level pattern making class, which investigates all kinds of interesting topics. We did historical pattern making last time. We've done sustainable pattern making. And then I normally teach the creative design process class, which gets into different topical problem-based design projects for upper level students. So this is where we get into wearable technology project, design for all project, inspired by art project, unusual materials project. So just different kind of challenges to help students exercise their creative muscles.
Absolutely. And do you have, during the winter, are you offering any of those? Or what are you offering? Any of them?
Yeah, nothing in the winter term. I just finished up the graduate pattern making course this fall.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you excited for the spring semester in terms of maybe utilizing, more space? Do you guys still do in-person classes?
Yes.
Nice. I mean, I assume so because
we do. We have to juggle how many we can have in the room at a time. So there's some kind of hybrid going on. But yeah.
That's good. How would you describe your teaching style? I know that's a very unique question and maybe something you don't really know the answer to, but how would you describe your teaching style?
So I'm really into experiential learning, which is learning by doing. I really believe in starting students out with the basic information they need to know on a topic. So like when you start out in pattern making class, I would teach you everything about what it means to measure the human body, how to do it, how we measure dress forms, like all the like basics that you would need to know before you could start into pattern making. And then I really like to structure my classes around like teaching a thing and then giving an opportunity to apply the thing. And then giving another opportunity to apply the thing even in a more creative way. I think it really it gives students confidence to give them the basic information, but then it also helps them to really cement the knowledge when they can make it their own. So like we might learn how to, make a pattern for a ruffle, right? And so everybody will make the same basic thing, and then there'll be a project to design your own thing with a ruffle. And it's so much fun that day when everyone comes in with their own different little dress that has whatever their rendition is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I also have, I have written down about, preparing students and having students apply through learning. I had an example that I found. I remember promoting this on social media for the department. Aaliyah, is it? Or
Ayla, yeah.
Ayla Nesbitt, and you had students create a dress for her, correct?
Yeah. So that was the creative design project class, which normally has a project around designing for people that are experiencing a disability. And Ayla's mother is a graduate of our program and came to the department and said, my daughter's going through chemotherapy. She needs some clothes that accommodate that. And so our students in the class designed outfits for Ayla. And I mean, there are a few clothes on the market that kind of accommodate the treatments, but they're real plain.
Mm-hmm.
And so the designs the students made were functional, yes. to accommodate medical devices, but they really catered to what she liked and what color she liked and what character she liked and fit her personality.
Mm-hmm.
So we really got.
That's probably got to be a really rewarding experience to see. You know, you must be very proud as a teacher. I know I'm proud as a student. You know, just seeing them, you know, think creatively outside the box, but as well as, you know, maximizing that opportunity, making it their own, and really, really showing that they can affect people's lives and, you know, do good for them.
Yeah, the students were really happy to do something for a real person,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they saw the positive outcomes of applying their knowledge. A lot of them, you know, after the fact said, oh, wow, I never thought about using my degree in this way.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. What can students, both prospective, you know, maybe looking at Iowa State, and concurrent students expect when taking AMD related classes? You talked about a little bit about, you know, experiential learning and both the creative and technical aspects. What do you think they're getting themselves into? What do you think will be offered to them? What areas of their mind will be challenged?
Well, I mean, I can really mostly speak to the design program, but we really try to provide a very well-rounded set of courses in the degree that provides all the different skills that would be needed in the career path. And we really strive to provide it in a way that, you know, starts at the beginning, right? You don't have to know how to sew when you come in the door. We start at 0, and then the different classes step your skill level up until you graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So we just try to make people well prepared. I will say, I think we have some of the hardest working students in the university.
Really? That's
I do
awesome.
yeah, you know, it takes time and effort to
Mm-hmm.
get those projects done.
Absolutely, well said. And what would your advice be to students looking to get, you know, into AMD related fields, and maybe just wondering, you know, just thinking, I didn't grow up sewing, but this might be an area of interest for me. Um, like me, for example, maybe if I had one experience where I learned to sew and I enjoyed it, or I did something I liked, maybe I would have, you know, joined the AMD department. What would your advice be to those students who maybe know that they want to do AMD, or maybe that they have an interest in it, but they just need that motivation. They need that next, that push through the door, I guess you could say.
Right. Well, you know, we do have several great 100 level kind of intro to the fashion industry type courses.
Mm-hmm.
So those are a great place to start. I think the great thing about our program is it is a big program, and we do have a lot of options within the AMD degree. So even if you come in and you say, well, I'm interested in fashion, but you're not sure in what way, there's 5 different options in our degree. So, you know, you can find your place within the fashion industry. Maybe it's merchandising, maybe it's media, maybe it's design, maybe it's product development, but there's a lot of different choices to pursue your interest in fashion within our program.
Definitely. I think that's well said. And maybe one last question. How do you see the future of AMD, and Awesome as a whole, um, you know, into the future? Yeah, how do you see it?
Well, so we are always, you know, having our eyes out on the industry, looking at where things are going, where we see consumer interest, where we see technology going. We're seeing more and more application of 3D modeling into the clothing design process, and into the retailing process. And so we're already moving down the road of implementing these things into our program. So merging the technology with the apparel design and the selling of apparel too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a major area for us. We're also really seeing the importance of media in the fashion industry. And more students are becoming interested in media related fashion careers. So that's a new option area we've added recently. So I think those are some of the big directions we're seeing now, is that, the technology, the 3D modeling, these are not only in our creative process being used, maybe even like virtual reality could be used in our creative process, but then also we're going to see this in retailing. So stores will have fewer garments, but then maybe you can virtually try them on, and then they'll just come to your house. So
I think that's it's really awesome that Iowa State is at the forefront of it. There's a lot of opportunities that they're offering. Take, for example, the newly opened Student Innovation Center, where there's a retail store and there's fashion spaces, and there's a ton of opportunities for students to get involved. And they just need to experience it. They just need to determine whether or not it's something that's for them. And I think it's very rewarding. They'll see how rewarding it can be once they maybe delve a little bit into it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring up the Innovation Center, because that's such a great opportunity for anyone to try anything, right? Like once it's really up and running, there's all those different labs. You can go and learn woodworking, learn sewing, whatever. And I tell you what excites me about the Innovation Center is the textile and electronics lab. I'm not sure what it's technically called, but it's really exciting that there's a lab where we have sewing, weaving, knitting, soldering, 3D printing, laser cutting all together, because this is what is going to enable the moving forward of wearable technology. You can do it all together in one space. Yeah,
it's amazing, and I can only see it going up from here. So, I mean, you put it very well. The future is bright, definitely, for apparel and fashion and stuff like that. So, do you have any last remarks or anything before we conclude?
I think you should learn to sew, Mark.
I should honestly try. I should try. I guess you got to help me. I got to step in to your class one of these days and just see what you guys are doing. So, well, perfect. I think that's all I have. Dr. McKinney, thank you for coming onto the show and giving us some of your insights.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody. We will see you guys for episode 7. For more information, you can head over to our website and just search us up on social media. AESHM. Thanks, guys.